Uchechi.
Uchechi.
From today, your body shall carry the smell of death. Let no man stand you. Let no one come close to you.
The night was calm, too calm, as if the world was holding its breath. The wind moved slowly through the tall trees outside the small village hut, and even the birds, which usually sang at night, were unusually loud, almost like they were warnings of something about to happen. Inside the hut, a different sound filled the air. Welcome to Folk Tales with Nikki, where you enjoy interesting African stories. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share.
Push!
It is coming. The midwife shouted. A woman's painful cries echoed through the thin walls. Amadi stood outside the hut, barefoot on the cold ground, pacing back and forth like a man losing his mind. His hands were shaking. His lips were moving non-stop. Maichi, please, do not take my wife away from me. Not now, not like this. He prayed in fear and desperation. Sweat covered his forehead even though the night was cold. Inside the hut, his wife was fighting for her life, struggling to bring their child into the world. And then a sound broke through the night, a baby's cry, strong, loud, alive. Amadi froze. For a moment, everything stopped. Even his heartbeat felt like it paused. Then his face broke into relief. A child, my child, he whispered, almost collapsing from relief. But that relief did not last. Inside the hut, the midwife suddenly began to shout again. Blood, too much blood, hold her down, she's slipping away. Amadi's heart dropped. What is happening in there? He shouted, rushing towards the door. Before anyone could stop him, he pushed himself inside. What he saw shattered him. His wife was laying weak, pale and drenched in sweat. The baby was crying beside her, but the mother was fading fast. No, Amadi whispered, shaking his head. A midwife tried to stop the bleeding. We are trying, but it won't stop. She's losing too much blood. Amadi rushed to her side and held her hand. My wife, stay with me, please. But her eyes slowly looked at him, weak, tired, distant, and then her hand slipped from his. Silence. The crying baby continued, but the mother was gone. Amadi screamed, a deep, painful sound that came from the soul. No! The hut shook with grief. Midwives lowered their heads in silence. Amadi stood frozen, tears falling uncontrollably. One moment he became a father, and the next moment he became a widower. A midwife gently placed the newborn baby into his trembling arms. It is a baby girl, she said softly. Be strong, she's all you have left. Amadi looked at the tiny child in his arms. She was crying, innocent, unaware of the pain she was born into. Amadi's tears dropped into her small face. What kind of word is this? He whispered painfully. You came, but you took your mother. Outside, villagers gathered slowly, hearing the cries and silence. Amadi stepped out of the hut holding the baby close to his chest. People tried to console him, but nothing could reach his heart. He was broken, completely broken. Days passed. The house became quiet, too quiet. No laughter, no wife, only silence and a crying baby. Amadi would sit outside every night, holding the child, staring at the sky. Sometimes he would speak to himself. Where do I start from now? Why did life choose me for this pain? But every time the baby cried, he would hold her tighter. She's all I have left, he would whisper. After many days, the villagers gathered again for naming. Amadi stood in front of everyone, holding his daughter. His voice was weak but firm. This child will be called Uchechi. People looked at him. He continued, because only God's will has brought her here, and only God's will keep her alive. Uchechi, a name born from pain, but wrapped in hope. Time passed slowly in the village. Amadi tried his best. He raised Uchechi with love, even though his heart never healed. But loneliness is dangerous, and slowly people began to tell him things. You are still young. A child needs a mother. She needs care. At first, Amadi refused, but over time, the pressure grew until one day, he made a decision that would change everything. He married again. Her name was Azuka. She came into the house smiling, kind on the outside, gentle in words, respectful in front of Amadi, and Amadi believed. He believed she would help him raise Uchechi. He believed his daughter would finally have a mother figure. But behind that smile, something darker was hiding, something no one saw yet. At first, everything looked normal. Azuka cooked. She greeted Amadi with respect. She even carried baby Uchechi sometimes. People in the village said, Amadi is lucky. He found a good woman again. But inside the house, things were different. When Amadi left for the farm, Azuka's eyes changed. Her smile disappeared and her voice became sharp. Uchechi was still too young to understand, but she felt it. The coldness, the rejection, the distance, and slowly, her life would begin to change. Uchechi had entered the world through pain, but her real suffering had not even begun yet, and in the same house where she was supposed to be safe. Darkness was already growing quietly inside the heart of her new mother. Time moved slowly in Amadi's house, but something inside it was moving faster than time. Something dangerous, something invisible at first. At the beginning, everything still looked normal to outsiders. Azuka smiled in front of people. She greeted neighbors with respect. She cooked food and acted like a caring wife. But when the door closed, a different story began. Little Uchechi was growing but not in peace. She was too young to understand hatred, but she could feel it. When Azuka carried her, there was no warmth. When Azuka looked at her, there was no love. And when Amadi was not around, the house became another place entirely. Uchechi would cry sometimes, not because she was hungry, but because she felt lonely, even when people were around her. A child can feel love without words, and she can also feel rejection without explanation. Azuka never shouted at her at first, no. She was smarter than that. She began slowly, like poison, dropping one drop at a time. One morning, Amadi left for the farm very early. The sun had not fully risen. Azuka stood in the compound watching him leave. The moment he disappeared on the path, her face changed. Inside the house, baby Uchechi was crying softly. Azuka walked in slowly. She stood over the child, no smile, no warmth, just silence. Then she clicked her tongue. Baby reached out her small hands, but Azuka did not carry her immediately. She watched her cry for a while. Then finally she picked her up, but not gently. Not cruelly in action, but coldly in spirit, as if carrying something she did not want. Days turned into weeks turned into months, and slowly, Uchechi began to grow. But something was already wrong. When Amadi was home, Azuka acted like a perfect wife. But when he left, Uchechi became a shadow in her own home. Sometimes she would be left alone for long hours. Sometimes she would cry until she slept on the floor. Sometimes Azuka would ignore her completely. And when Uchechi began to work, that was when real trouble started. Azuka began giving her small tasks. At first it was harmless. Bring that spoon, carry this small plate, but slowly it increased. By the time Uchechi was a little older, she was doing things far beyond her age. Fetching water, cleaning the house, washing plates, running errands, while Azuka's own children, Emeka and Ikenna, played freely and ate well. Uchechi worked, Uchechi suffered, but she did not complain because she did not understand why life had changed like that. One day, Uchechi was sent to fetch water from the stream. It was a long walk for a small child. Her hands were weak, but she obeyed. When she returned, the pot of water slipped slightly and spilled a little on the ground. It was small, but for Azuka it was enough. Azuka's eyes burned. You wasted water. Uchechi, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Azuka was already angry.
Useless
You
girl.
are useless. She grabbed the child and pulled her inside. The sound of shouting filled the house, but Uchechi did not understand what she did wrong. She only knew one thing. She was always wrong, even when she tried her best. Amadi loved her daughter deeply, but he was not always at home. She trusted Azuka too much, and Azuka knew it. Whenever Amadi returned, she would smile, she would act kind, and would feed Uchechi in front of him. She would even pretend to care, and Amadi believed everything was fine, because he wanted it to be fine. A man who was suffered loss once fears losing peace again, so he ignored small signs. One evening, Amadi came back earlier than usual. As he entered the compound, he heard crying. Uchechi was crying softly behind the house. He moved closer. Uchechi. She quickly wiped her tears. I'm fine, father. but her voice was shaking. Before Amadi could ask more, Azuka appeared immediately. "Oh, my husband, welcome." Her voice was too fast, too perfect, too controlled. And just like that, the moment passed. Amadi did not ask further, but something in his heart felt slightly uneasy. Just slightly, and then he ignored it. As time continued, Uchechi grew into a quiet child. She did not laugh much. She did not play with other children. She mostly stayed silent. And when she was alone, she would hum softly to herself to feel less lonely. That singing voice, that innocent, painful melody, it would later become something very important. But at that time, it was just a lonely child trying to survive. Inside Amadi's house, love was slowly dying, and something darker was quietly growing in its place. Uchechi did not yet understand it, but her life was about to change forever, because silence in a home is often the beginning of suffering that no one sees coming. In Amadi's house, something was changing, slowly but surely. What started as silent treatment had now turned into open suffering, and Uchechi, still young and innocent, had no idea that her life was about to enter its darkest chapter. As Uchechi grew older, Azuka's treatment became harsher, no longer hidden, no longer careful. Now it was clear to anyone who cared to notice. Uchechi would wake up early every day before everyone else. She would sweep the compound, fetch water, cook small meals, wash plates, wash clothes, and still, she was never appreciated, only corrected, only insulted, only blamed. But the worst part was not even the work, it was the words. Azuka began to speak poison into Uchechi's life. Whenever Amadi was not around, her tongue became sharp. You are useless. You will never be anything. You are the reason your mother died. Those last words, they hurt the most because Uchechi did not understand them. But she felt their weight, and slowly she began to believe something was wrong with her. One morning, Uchechi woke up feeling weak. Her body was hot. Her head was heavy. She was sick. She went quietly to Azuka. Mother, I'm not feeling fine. Azuka looked at her for a moment, then turned away. You think sickness will stop you from working? Uchechi blinked. I cannot work today. Azuka's face hardened. You must fetch water. Go now. Uchechi hesitated. I'm really sick. That was a mistake. Uchechi grabbed her arm. You will go. And she pushed her out of the house. Uchechi walked slowly to the stream, weak and trembling. The journey felt longer than usual. Her legs were shaking, but she still fetched the water. The pot was heavy. Her strength was fading. On her way back, her foot slipped. The pot fell. Water spilled everywhere. The clay pot broke into pieces. Silence followed. Uchechi stared at it. Her heart sank. She already knew this was going to be bad. She walked home slowly, almost like she was walking into punishment. When Azuka saw her empty-handed, her eyes widened. What happened? Uchechi lowered her head. I fell and the pot broke. Before she could finish, a slap landed on her face. Then another, and another. The sound filled the house. Uchechi cried silently, not even loud anymore, just tears falling quietly. Azuka dragged her inside. You are cursed. You killed your mother, and now you're destroying everything. Uchechi froze. Those words again. But this time, something inside her broke. Her body, already weak from sickness, could not take it anymore. She fell, her eyes blurred, her breathing slowed, and then everything went dark. Azuka stood over her for a moment, then walked away like nothing happened. That evening, Amadi returned home from the farm. He entered the compound and noticed silence, too much silence. He called out, Uchechi, no answer. He walked inside quickly, and there he saw her on the floor, unconscious. He dropped everything. Uchechi, he lifted her immediately. Her body was burning with fever. What happened? Azuka came out calmly. I don't know. She just collapsed. Amadi looked at her. Something inside him tightened, but he did not argue. He carried Uchechi and rushed out. He took her to a herbalist immediately. For hours, they worked on her. Finally, she opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was her father. She started crying immediately. Father! Amadi held her tightly. My child, what happened? Her voice shook. Am I cursed? Amadi froze. Who told you that? Uchechi hesitated. Mother Azuka. Silence. A heavy silence. Then Amadi's face changed. Not anger yet, but something deeper. Uchechi continued crying. She said I killed my mother. Amadi held her tightly. His voice broke. My daughter, listen to me. Your mother did not die because of you. She died because of complications during childbirth. You are not cursed. Uchechi cried harder, but this time not from pain, from relief. For the first time in her life, she felt like maybe she was not the problem. Amadi left the herbalist with fire in his eyes. For the first time, he questioned everything. He returned home fast. Azuka! His voice echoed. Azuka came out calmly. Yes, my husband. Before she could react, a slap landed on her face. The sound shook the compound. Azuka froze. Amadi's voice was shaking. How can you tell a child she's cursed? How can you beat her when she's sick? Azuka suddenly changed tone. She fell to the ground dramatically. Ah, you will kill me today, oh, because of that girl. Amadi looked at her in disbelief, but he did not argue further. He turned away. This is your final warning, and he left to bring Uchechi back home. But inside Azuka's heart, something dark had already begun to awaken. She was no longer hiding her hatred. She was no longer patient, and now she began to think of something worse, something that would change everything forever. After Amadi returned with Uchechi, something changed inside Azuka. It was not fear, it was not regret, it was anger, deep, cold and dangerous. She sat alone in the house that night, staring into the darkness. Then she spoke quietly to herself.
If I
cannot remove her, then I will destroy her completely.
I will destroy her.
The next morning, Azuka told Amadi she was going to visit her parents in the next village. She acted calm, she even smiled. I will return tomorrow, she said. But Amadi did not know. She was not going to any family. She was going to a place no ordinary person visits without evil intentions. A native doctor's shrine. Azuka arrived deep inside the forest. The air was heavy. The trees looked older than time. She reached a small hut made of mud and bones. Inside, a native doctor sat quietly. He looked at her without surprise.
You have come,
he said. Azuka nodded.
I want something done.
The native doctor smiled slowly. What do you want? Azuka's eyes hardened. I want my stepdaughter to suffer in a way no one can stand her. I want her body to carry a smell like death, so that no one will love her, no one will touch her, no one will protect her. The room became silent. Even the fire seemed to stop moving. The native doctor stood up. He took cowries. He threw them on the ground. Then he began to speak strange words that echoed like thunder in the hut. Azuka was told the ritual. Call Uchechi's name 3 times. Declare the curse. Point the staff at the mirror. Azuka did everything without hesitation. Uchechi,
from today, your body shall carry the smell of death.
Your body shall carry the smell of death. Let no man stand you. Let no one come close to you. She pointed the staff at the mirror, and the mirror cracked slightly. The native doctor smiled. It is done. Azuka returned home the next day smiling, but this smile was different. It was victory. As she entered the compound, Amadi was pacing. Where have you been? He asked. Azuka acted innocent. I told you I visited my parents. But suddenly she stopped. Her nose wrinkled. What is that smell? Amadi looked confused. I don't smell anything. Then Uchechi walked out of the house, and everything changed. Azuka stared back instantly. Her face twisted. She covered her nose. Ah, what is this? Amadi frowned. What are you talking about? Azuka pointed at Uchechi. It is her. Amadi looked at his daughter. Uchechi stood quietly, confused. I just came out, but then Amadi paused. He slowly inhaled, and for the first time he noticed it. A strange smell. Not normal, not ordinary. Something unsettling. Something heavy, something like decay. Azuka quietly changed her tone. I told you, this child is cursed. I told you from the beginning. Amadi looked confused and disturbed, but Azuka continued pushing. Do you know what I suffer when you are not around? She's the reason everything is like this. Uchechi stood frozen, her eyes filled with tears. I didn't do anything, but no one listened, not fully, not clearly. Fear was already entering Amadi's heart. Amadi went to see a stronger herbalist. He begged for help, but after rituals and divinations, the herbalist shook his head. This is not ordinary. This is beyond me. Amadi's heart sank. Is there no solution? The herbalist replied slowly. Some things even the living cannot undo. When Amadi returned home, everything has changed again. Uchechi was outside the house sitting alone, crying quietly. Azuka stood at the door. She must leave this house. I cannot live with a cursed child. Amadi looked at her daughter. His heart was breaking, but he was trapped between fear confusion and pressure. Let her stay tonight, he said quickly. Tomorrow, I'll think of what to do. That was the moment everything shifted. That night, Uchechi slept outside, alone, cold, confused. She did not understand why her life kept changing. She did not understand why everyone suddenly feared her. She only knew one thing. She was unwanted and far away in the darkness. Azuka smiled because her plan was working. But what Azuka did not know was that causes always carry consequences, and soon everything would begin to fall apart, not just for Uchechi, but for everyone. The morning after that painful night came slowly. The village was quiet but not peaceful. It was the kind of quiet that carries sadness inside it. Uchechi sat outside the house alone, her arms wrapped around her knees, her eyes tired from crying all night. Inside the compound, life continued, but not for her. Amadi stood outside looking at his daughter. His heart was heavy. He did not know what to believe anymore. The smell Azuka talked about, he could sense it, and that fear was growing inside him. Azuka stood behind him silently. Then she spoke softly but firmly. She must go. If she stays here, she will destroy this family. Amadi closed his eyes. He was a man trapped between love and fear, between truth and confusion. Finally, he spoke in a weak voice. Let her stay one more night. Tomorrow I will decide. Azuka did not argue. She smiled faintly because she already knew what she wanted. That same day, Amadi left early for his farmland. The sun was bright, but the air felt uneasy. Uchechi remained outside the house, quiet and lonely. Azuka watched her from a distance. Her eyes were cold, but inside her heart, she was already done waiting. Far away in the farm, Amadi was walking. Sweat covered his body. The day was normal until it wasn't. He suddenly stopped. Something moved in the grass, a snake. Before he could react, he struck. Amadi shouted, "Ah!" He tried to run, but his strength began to fail quickly. He fell to the ground, breathing heavily. "Help! Someone help!" But the farm was empty. No one was near. No one heard him. By the time villagers reached him later, it was too late. Amadi was gone. Silence filled the farm. A strong man, a loving father, gone just like that. No explanation that made sense. Only grief, only confusion, only pain. When the news reached the village, Uchechi heard it last. A messenger stood at a distance. His voice was low. "Amadi is dead." Uchechi froze. For a moment, the world stopped. "No," she whispered. Then she ran. "Father! Father!" But it was too late. Her world had already collapsed. At the burial, people gathered, but not all eyes were kind. Azuka stood in front, acting like a grieving widow, but her tears were not real. Uchechi tried to come closer, but Azuka shouted immediately, "Don't let that cursed girl come near here." People murmured. Some believed her, some were unsure. But fear speaks louder than truth, and Uchechi was forced to stay far away, watching her father buried like a stranger, unable to even say goodbye properly. After the burial, everything changed completely. The house was no longer hers. Azuka's hatred became open. "You cannot stay here. You are not welcome." Uchechi stood silently. No strength left to argue. No one to protect her anymore. So she left with nothing. No family, no home, only pain. Uchechi walked far from the village. She found a small abandoned hut near the bush. It was broken, empty, but it was hers now. She sat inside and cried for days. No food, no comfort, only memories of her father's voice. Then one day, something changed inside her. She wiped her tears and spoke to herself. "Uchechi, you must stop crying. If you don't stand up, you will die here." That was the moment survival began. Uchechi started going into the bush to collect firewood and even look for fruits to eat. She would carry it to the roadside and wait for buyers. At first, people avoided her because of the smell, because of the rumor, because of fear. But slowly, a kind woman began buying from her. She helped her sometimes with food. Small kindness in a cruel world. Uchechi also began singing softly, alone, to keep herself from breaking completely. And one day, someone heard her voice. A hunter named Emeka was passing through the forest. He stopped suddenly. He heard singing, a soft, painful, beautiful voice. He listened carefully. Then he stopped. Curious, he walked closer. The next day he returned and this time he saw her, a young woman, beautiful but broken, standing alone with firewood, her eyes wet, and everything changed. Uchechi had lost everything, her mother, her father, her home, her name in the village. But in the darkness of her life, a new path was about to begin, and this path would bring love, but also a battle against something deeper than she ever imagined. The forest was quiet that day, but not empty. It carried sounds only a few people ever notice: the rustle of leaves, the distant call of birds, and the soft movement of wind through tall trees. And inside that silence, a voice was singing, soft, broken, beautiful in a painful way. Emeka stood still in the bush. He had come for hunting, like always, but this time his attention was not on animals, it was on that voice. He listened carefully, his head tilted slightly. Then he whispered to himself, "This is her again." He had heard it the day before, a voice so pure, yet so lonely. He followed the sound slowly, step by step, until he stopped before a thick tree. And what he saw changed everything. There she was, Uchechi, standing beside a small bundle of firewood. Her clothes were old, her body looked tired, but her voice was alive. She was singing softly to herself, trying to forget her pain for a moment. Emeka just watched, not moving, not speaking. Something in his heart tightened, because he could feel it. This was not just a girl singing, this was a girl surviving. Uchechi suddenly stopped singing. She felt something. She turned sharply and saw him, a man standing not too far away. Her body froze instantly. Her heart began to beat fast. Who are you?" she asked quickly. Her voice was shaky. Emeka raised his hand slowly. "I mean no harm," he said calmly. "I only heard your voice and I wanted to know who sings like that in the middle of the bush." Uchechi stepped back immediately. "No, you should not come closer to me." Her voice dropped lower. "I am cursed." Emeka frowned slightly. "Cursed?" Uchechi nodded quickly, fear in her eyes. "If you come closer, you will understand." She turned her face away, ashamed. "I am not someone you should talk to." But Emeka did not move away. Instead, he stepped closer slowly, not in fear but in concern. He stopped at a safe distance. "I have seen many things in this forest," he said quietly,
but I have
never seen someone who sings like you and carries sadness like this. Uchechi's eyes filled with tears. "Please leave me." But Emeka stood his ground. "I will not." For a moment, silence filled the space between them. Then Emeka spoke again. "I am Emeka, a hunter. I don't believe you are what you say you are." Uchechi laughed sadly. "You don't know me. I smell like that. I was sent away from my father's house. I'm alone." Her voice broke completely. Emeka looked at her deeply. Then he said something that shook her. "Then tell me your story." Uchechi hesitated. She wanted to run. She wanted to stay silent. But something about Emeka's voice made her pause. So she sat down slowly and she spoke. Everything. Her mother's death, her stepmother's hatred, the beatings, the curse, the village rejection, her father's death, her loneliness. Everything came out like a flood. Emeka listened without interrupting her. Not once. When she finished, she lowered her head. "I told you, I am cursed." Emeka was silent for a moment. Then he spoke gently. "No." Uchechi looked up. "No," he shook his head. "What you are carrying is not a curse. It's cruelty from human hands." Those words hit her deeply. She had never heard that before. Not once. Uchechi's eyes filled again. "You don't understand." But Emeka stepped closer now. Slowly. "I understand enough. I understand that no child deserves what you went through." For the first time in a long time, Uchechi did not step back. From that day, Emeka began to visit her. At first just to check on her. Then talk. Then to listen. Sometimes, she would still warn him, "Stay away from me, I am cursed." But Emeka never left. He would just sit nearby and say, "Then I will sit close enough to hear your voice." Slowly, something began to change. Not the cause, not the smell, but Uchechi's heart. One day, Emeka brought food. Uchechi refused at first, but he insisted. They ate quietly together. It was the first time in years she shared a meal with someone without fear. Later she sang again, but this time she was not singing alone. Emeka listened with a small smile, and for the first time, Uchechi smiled too, a small one but real. In the silence of the forest, a broken girl began to feel human again, and a hunter who once came for game had now found something far more dangerous, something called love. But neither of them knew that the cause was still alive, and it was not finished with her yet. Days passed, and the forest became something different for Uchechi. It was no longer just a place of loneliness. It was now a place where someone came to see her. Emeka, he came often, sometimes with food, sometimes just to sit and listen to her, and slowly, something dangerous and beautiful began to grow between them, something called hope. But Emeka was not a man who could sit and watch pain without trying to end it. And the more he heard her story, the more reckless he became. One evening, Emeka sat quietly beside Uchechi's small hut. The sun was going down, painting the sky orange and red. Uchechi was sitting near him, humming softly, but Emeka was not smiling. His mind was far away. Finally, he spoke. Uchechi, he turned to him. Yes, he stated. Then he said, I cannot continue watching you suffer like this. Uchechi looked down immediately. It is my life, she said softly. I have accepted it. Emeka shook his head. No, your life is not meant for suffering. There is a solution. Uchechi looked up quickly. What solution? Emeka stood slowly. I will find it. Uchechi stood up immediately. No, Emeka, please don't do anything. This thing is not something you can fight. But Emeka was already determined. I'll visit a powerful native doctor, he said. My father once spoke about him. If there is a way to break this curse, I will find it. Uchechi grabbed his hand. Please don't go. Her voice was shaking. If you go, something bad might happen to you. Emeka looked at her. Then he gently removed her hand. If I don't go, then I'm not worthy of knowing you. And with that, he left. Emeka traveled deep into unknown paths. The road was long. The forest became thicker. The air became heavier. He passed places where even birds stopped singing. He felt like the land was watching him, but he did not turn back, because every step he took, Uchechi's face was in his mind. After a long journey, he arrived, a strange place hidden deep inside the forest. Skulls hung on wooden poles. Strange markings were drawn on the ground, and in the center, a small hut. Emeka stopped, then entered. Inside, an old native doctor sat calmly, as if he was expecting him. The man spoke first. You have come for something heavy. Emeka nodded. Yes, I want to break a curse. The native doctor looked at him carefully. Many come here saying that few survive what they are told. Emeka did not move. I will survive. The native doctor closed his eyes. He began to chant softly. Then he threw cowries on the ground. After a long silence, he opened his eyes. What you seek is not simple. Emeka stepped forward. Tell me, the old man sighed. This curse is not ordinary. It was born from hatred and spiritual binding. To break it, you must enter a place no living man enters willingly. Emeka's face tightened. Where? The native doctor looked at him deeply. The land of the dead. Silence filled the room. Even the fire stopped moving. The native doctor stood up slowly. If you truly want to save her, you must carry a burning pot on your head. You must not let it touch the ground. You must not look back. You will walk through spirits that will try to stop you, and you will fetch water from the river of the dead. Emeka swallowed hard, but he did not step back. What happens if I fail? Then you will remain there forever. A long silence followed. Emeka thought about it. He thought about death, thought about fear, but mostly he thought about Uchechi. Her voice, her pain, her smile. Slowly he nodded. I will do it. The native doctor looked at him closely. You are not afraid. Emeka answered simply. I am afraid, but I am more afraid of losing her to suffering than losing my own life. The native doctor began rituals. He drew symbols on Emeka's body. He spoke words that shook the ground. He gave him protection charms, and finally, he handed him the pot. Once you start, there is no turning back. Emeka held it tightly. I am ready. Uchechi waited. Hours turned into days. No Emeka, no message, no sign. At first, she tried to be strong, but slowly fear entered her heart again. She stood outside her hut at night, whispering, Emeka, please, come back. But the wind gave no answer, only silence. Each passing day made her more anxious. Her hands trembled. Her heart became heavy. For the first time in a long time, she felt something she had not felt in years. Fear of losing someone she cared about. And deep inside her heart, a thought began to grow. What if he does not return? Emeka had stepped into a journey that no man returns from easily. A journey between life and death, all for a girl the world had already rejected. And in the village, Uchechi waited in silence, not knowing if love had just been taken from her forever. Emeka left the shrine with the burning pot carefully balanced on his head. The night air felt different now. He was no longer walking like a hunter in the forest. He was walking like a man, crossing into a world he did not fully understand. Behind him, the native doctor's voice echoed one last time, "Do not look back." And with that warning, Emeka stepped forward into darkness. At first, the path looked normal, trees, bushes, familiar sounds of night insects. But after some time, everything changed. The air became colder. The sounds disappeared. Even the wind stopped moving. Emeka noticed it and tightened his grip. "This is it," he whispered. He kept walking, step by step, careful not to let the pot fall, careful not to look back. Then he heard something. Footsteps behind him. Slow, deliberate. Emeka paused. But he remembered the warning. Do not look back. So he continued walking. The footsteps grew louder, then softer, then louder again. It felt like someone was walking right behind him, breathing, watching. But Emeka kept moving forward. His sweat dropped heavily from his face, not from heat, but fear. Then came the voices, soft at first. "Emeka." He froze slightly. His name, called from behind. He tightened his jaw. "I will not look back," he said firmly. The voice came again. "Emeka, why are you suffering like this?" This time it sounded like Uchechi. His heart skipped, but he remembered, this is not real. He kept walking. The ground beneath his feet changed. It became softer. Strange mist appeared. The tree disappeared completely. Now he was walking on empty land, a land without direction, a land without life. The sky above him turned dark red. Emeka realized it. I have entered the land of the dead. Suddenly, shadows began to form around him. At first they were far, then closer. Human shapes, but not human. They walked around him in circles. Some whispered, some laughed, some cried. One of them spoke loudly. "Living man, why are you here?" Emeka did not stop. "I'm here for water," he said boldly. The spirits laughed. A living man dares to take from the dead? The wind rose violently. But Emeka kept going, step by step, pot steady, heart racing. Then something worse happened. He saw her, Uchechi, standing far ahead, alive, smiling. "Emeka," she called softly. "Come back, leave this place." Emeka stopped. His breath shook for a moment. His mind wanted to run to her, but his heart remembered. This is not real. He closed his eyes tightly. "I will not look back," he whispered it again. "I will not look back." And he moved forward. After a long journey, he reached it. A river glowing faintly under a red sky. The water was black and still. No sound, no movement. This was it, the stream of the dead. Emeka slowly lowered the pot from his head. His hands were shaking. Then he knelt. He dipped the pot into the water. The moment he touched, the water moved violently. The shadows screamed. The ground shook. Emeka almost fell, but he held on. He filled the pot, then quickly placed it back on his head and stood up. The moment he turned back, everything became worse. The spirits were angry now. They screamed louder. The wind attacked him. Invisible forces pushed him. "Leave it, drop it, stay here." Emeka struggled. His leg felt heavy. His body was burning, but he remembered only one thing. "Uchechi, I must return," he whispered. And he walked halfway back. Something grabbed his leg. He fell slightly. The pot almost slipped. Emeka screamed, but he held it tighter. No, he pulled himself free and kept running. His breath was gone. His strength was fading, but he did not stop. Finally, after what felt like forever, he saw light, the forest, the real world. He stepped out and collapsed on his knees. The spirits disappeared instantly. Silence returned. Emeka was shaking. But the pot, was it still on his head? He had succeeded. Far away in the village, Uchechi was still waiting, not knowing that love had just walked through death. just to come back to her. But the final battle was not over yet, because the curse was still waiting, and it was about to show its last form. Emeka returned to the world of the living, like a man pulled out of fire. His body was weak, his breathing was heavy, but his hands never let go of the pot. Inside it was the water from the river of the dead, the only thing standing between Uchechi and her suffering. He arrived back at the native doctor's shrine at dawn. The sky was slowly changing from dark to grey. The native doctor was already waiting. As soon as he saw Emeka, he stood up. A long silence followed. Emeka knelt down and placed the pot on the ground carefully. His hands were shaking violently, but he had succeeded. The native doctor nodded slowly. You did not fail. Emeka could barely speak. Now, help her. The old man looked at him deeply. Love has taken you far, but the final step is not yours. The native doctor took the pot. He placed it in a small calabash bowl. Then he spoke slowly. This water must not be wasted. It must touch her body for 3 days. Only then will the curse be broken. If anything interrupts it, the curse will remain forever. Emeka nodded weakly. I understand. Then he stood up immediately. I'm going to her. At the hut in the bush, Uchechi was sitting outside quietly. She had not seen Emeka for many days. Her heart was heavy. Every sound in the forest made her turn her head, but it was always nothing. She whispered to herself, maybe he did not come back. Tears filled her eyes again, but she quickly wiped them away. No, I must be strong. Just then she heard footsteps. Uchechi stood up immediately. Emeka. Then she saw him, walking towards her. Weak, tired, but alive, she ran. Emeka! Emeka! And she jumped into his arms. For a moment everything stopped. No cause, no pain, no village. Just two broken souls holding each other. Emeka held her tightly. I came back. Uchechi was crying. I thought you left me. Emeka shook his head. I told you I would not leave. Then he stepped back slightly. I have brought something. He showed her the pot. Uchechi looked confused. What is it? Emeka spoke softly. The cure. They entered the hut. The air was tense. Emeka explained everything. Uchechi listened in shock. You went there? For me? He nodded. Uchechi shook her head. No, this is too much. Emeka placed his hand on hers. It is done. Now trust me. Slowly. Uchechi agreed. The native doctor came to guide them. He poured the water carefully. Uchechi bathed with it. As the water touched her skin, a strange wind entered the hut. She screamed slightly. Her body shook, but Emeka held her steady. Stay strong. After a few moments, silence returned, but the smell was still there. The curse had not fully been broken yet. The next morning they repeated it. Again, the water touched her body. Again, strange reactions followed, this time stronger. Uchechi collapsed slightly. Emeka caught her immediately. Don't give up. Tears rolled down her face. I am tired. Emeka held her tightly. I am here. The final day came. The village was unaware of what was happening, but something spiritual was changing. The air around the hut felt lighter, different, hopeful. Uchechi stepped into the water again. Her hands were shaking. Emeka stood close. The native doctor watched silently. As the water touched her body, a loud wind shook the forest. The sky darkened for a moment. Uchechi screamed, but then everything stopped. Silence, complete silence. Uchechi opened her eyes slowly. She looked around. Then she looked at Emeka and spoke softly. Emeka. He stepped closer. Do you feel anything? She inhaled deeply. Then her eyes widened. No, the smell is gone. Emeka froze. The native doctor smiled faintly. It is broken. For the first time in many years, Uchechi stood without shame, without fear, without the shadow of the curse. But far away in the village, something else was about to happen. Because truth always finds its way out, and Azuka's darkness had not yet been fully exposed. The morning after the curse broke felt different. Not just in the air, but in Uchechi herself. For the first time in many years, she woke up without fear in her heart. She sat quietly outside the hut, breathing deeply. No rejection, no shame, no hiding. Just silence and peace. Emeka stood beside her, watching her carefully, like he still could not believe it was real. Uchechi stood up slowly. She looked at her clothes, then at her hands. Then she turned to Emeka. Emeka, he stepped closer. Yes, she inhaled again, then smiled faintly.
I can't smell it.
I cannot smell it anymore. Her voice shook, as if it was afraid to believe it fully. Emeka nodded slowly. It is gone. Uchechi covered her mouth with her hand. Tears filled her eyes immediately. After everything, after years of pain, after rejection, insult, suffering, she finally felt human again. But peace in this story was never meant to be silent for long. Far away in the village, rumors were already spreading. People were confused. The same girl they feared was now no longer carrying the smell. The same cursed child was now seen walking differently. And that confusion was about to reach Azuka. Azuka was still outside her compound when she heard villagers talking. She's no longer smelling. It has changed. At Emeka's place, Azuka froze. Her face changed instantly. What did you say? The villagers avoided her eyes, but she already understood something had gone wrong. Something impossible had happened. That same day, Emeka decided something. We are going back. Uchechi looked at him quickly. To the village, he nodded. Yes, it is time. Uchechi's heart tightened. After everything she suffered here, she was afraid, but Emeka held her hand. We are not the same person they sent away. Now you are returning as someone free. Slowly she agreed. When they arrived, people began to gather immediately. Whispers spread fast. That is her. But she is different. No smell. Confusion filled the air. Uchechi walked slowly beside Emeka. Her head was up. For the first time, she did not hide. She did not run. She did not lower her eyes. Azuka appeared in front of the crowd. She forced a smile, but her eyes were angry. This girl again. She is pretending. But the villagers were no longer fully convinced. Something had changed. Emeka stepped forward. We are here for the truth. What are you talking about? What truth? But before anyone could respond, she screamed. Her body felt like it was burning. People stared back in shock. Azuka fell to the ground. My body is fire. The villagers panicked. What is happening? And then something strange happened. Azuka began to speak uncontrollably, as if something inside her had broken. I did it. Silence fell instantly. Uchechi stepped forward slowly. What did you say? Azuka cried out. I placed the curse. I hated her. She took my husband's love. I could not bear it. The crowd gasped. Azuka continued screaming. I went to the native doctor. I cursed her. I made her smell like death. I told lies about her. And I did worse. She paused. Everyone leaned closer. Her voice broke. I killed Amadi. Silence. Heavy silence. Even the wind stopped. The crowd erupted. What? You killed him? Witchcraft. You are a monster. Azuka fell to her knees crying. But there was no sympathy. Only shock. Only anger. Only truth finally revealed. Uchechi stood still. Her hands were shaking. Emeka held her tightly. The village elder stepped forward slowly. His voice was heavy. Azuka, you have brought suffering, lies and death into this village. He turned to the youths. Take her away. Azuka screamed. Please forgive me. But no one moved to help her. The damage was too deep. The betrayal too much. The truth too heavy. Before Azuka was taken away, Uchechi stepped forward. She looked at her quietly. No anger, only pain. What did I ever do to you? Azuka cried. You did nothing. Uchechi's voice shook. Then why? Azuka had no answer, just silence. Uchechi whispered softly. I will forgive you, but I will never forget. Then she turned away. 1 year later, the village had changed. Uchechi was no longer known as cursed. She was known as someone who survived. Emeka stood beside her as her husband. Peace slowly returned to her life. But she never forgot her past, because pain does not disappear, it only teaches. One evening, Uchechi stood outside with Emeka. She looked at the sky, then whispered softly, I lost everything before I found peace. Emeka held her hand. But you are still here. She nodded, yes, and I'm alive. They stood together in silence, not because life was perfect, but because they finally survived it.